sec. Okay, yeah. Mostly in the right place. I think I need to go this way a bit more for Instagram. How are you? How's your Monday going? Good, I hope. It's fine if it's not. Not every day goes well, I understand that. We're going to do a bit of meditation. This isn't a class, it's just a chance to meditate together. You don't have to meditate along. People have been getting in touch to say that they just like having it on in the background. They like to be around someone who's meditating. They find it calming. So yeah, feel free to do that or meditate along if you want. These meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. And if you're curious about that, I'll explain all about it at the end. I do them on Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And on Wednesday and Friday, we just meditate. But on Monday, I explain what I do for the benefit of people who are new to meditation. So if you're an experienced meditator, that's fantastic. But can you hang on for a minute while I, explain what I do? There's lots of different types of meditation. This is what I do. For me, it starts with why I would meditate. I'm trying to connect to a part of me that I connect to every night when I go to sleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm sort of dreaming and then I drop out the bottom of dreaming into deep dreamless sleep where I have no thoughts, no memories, no feelings, no personality, no emotions, no body really, no bed, no bedroom, no nothing. I don't even have me because I cease to exist, certainly in the way that I normally register my existence. So that sounds awful, doesn't it? I mean, you add all that up, that sounds like death. And yet I love going to sleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I feel refreshed. So some part of me knows that wherever I go to is good. And that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, first tip, don't try this lying down. Because if you lie down, your body will go, I'm lying down, I've got my eyes closed, but that means it's time for sleep. So there's a good chance you'll fall asleep or you'll battle sleep, both of which are contrary to what you want to be doing here if you want to meditate. So yeah, sit up. Make sure if you are sitting up that you sit up don't sit up in a big comfy armchair or don't sit up in bed. You're going to have trouble with sleep there, probably. So yeah, sit up in a slightly uncomfortable chair. You don't have to sit in a anything like that unless you're comfortable doing that. So yeah, sit in a nice chair. Now, as I said, when I'm in this deep dreamless place when I'm asleep, no thoughts. So thinking and my mind is just so, like, when I meditate, where I go to, my mind can't go. I'd love if it could, but it can't. Don't know why, but it doesn't. So it's no fun for my mind. From my mind's point of view, meditation is like me going into a room and it can't come into the room and it has to sit outside the door waiting. So it doesn't like that at all. So I have found that the kindest thing to do for myself is not to get into a fight and not to sort of try and force or strong arm my mind into meditation. It's to figure out some way of working with my mind and making an arrangement with my mind so that my mind is on board for the whole process. That's important, particularly for a long-term practice, meditation practice. So what I do is I make an arrangement with my mind. I just say, hey, can you just not think for the next 15 minutes because I want to meditate? Now, I've been meditating for so long that my mind is up for the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. It's not wild about it. It's never been wild about it, but it is on board. Then the next thing I do is stop thinking. Now, stopping thinking is easier than you would think. The difficulty with, because people say, oh, I just can't stop my mind from thinking. Stopping is not that hard. Maintaining that stop, that can be a bit tricky. So to stop thinking, regardless of what I'm thinking about, which you could think of as the content of my thought, the structure of my thought, the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the picture, turn off the sound, that's it, I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel to the intention of my meditation. Now, the intention of my meditation is to go to that still, deep, profound, Zen-like, peaceful. I'm just trying to think of all the other words that I use to describe meditation. You know, that place, that's where I want to go. That's the intention. And then the practice pretty much starts as soon as I stop thinking. And it generally goes, I'll turn off the pictures, I'll turn off the sound. And when I say, just as an aside, I'm talking about internal sound. I'm talking about commentaries, monologues, dialogues, conversations I'm having with myself or myself in the past or family members, all that internal dialogue, all that internal sound. I might be singing a little bit of song to myself or hearing a bit of music. That's what I'm talking about when I say turn off the sound. So I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound. Then sometimes I discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, thinking again, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound. Then a little bit more time passes. Then I discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound. And so on. It's pretty simple. Every time I discover I'm thinking, I bring myself to not thinking. I forgot to mention at the beginning that I'm having a little bit of trouble with my streaming software. So my lip sync is off. So if you find that disconcerting, just imagine that I am speaking in a foreign language and I've been overdubbed with English. That might help. I'm working on it. It'll get fixed, but now it may be a little bit off. Okay, so I've stopped thinking. That's good. It's important to know that thinking can happen in meditation. It's very easy to get the misconception that in order to meditate correctly, you shouldn't be thinking it. The mind should be just like this lake without a ripple on it. I haven't found that to be the case, and I haven't found that to be helpful because it just causes stress. And one of the benefits, the nice benefits of meditation is that your nervous system calms down a bit. But it won't calm down if you're going, oh, I'm doing this wrong, I'm thinking, and now I'm thinking about thinking, so that's not going to help at all. So yeah, thinking can happen in meditation, that's fine. And right amount of time that you should be bringing yourself back from thinking. You could meditate in the morning and you might only have to bring yourself back from thinking 20, 30 times in 15 minutes. Then you might meditate in the afternoon and you might have to bring yourself back, 200, 300 times. One is not better than the other. That's not the way it works. Because whether you are discovering that you're thinking or still, both are powerful in their own way. Because as I say, practice and the intention, they go together. So they sort of go back and forth. You go back and forth between these two things. So if you're very still, you're in the sort of intention side of things, you're very still, you can feel your nervous system changing, you can feel your whole body relaxing. And it's kind of obviously powerful. And one of the ways that I always know that I've started thinking again is my mind will go, oh, I'm really deep now. Oh, I'm really, I can really feel it. Okay, that's how I know I'm thinking again. Now, if you're thinking, there's a lot of power in that moment when you discover that you're thinking and you turn off the pictures and you turn off the sound. It's a bit subtle and it's easy to kind of miss it because the power is in, if you're like me, the sort of things you think about are all to do with you. I don't mean like I'm just an egomaniac. What I mean is it's all from my perspective, meaning I'll be thinking about what am I going to do about that thing? Why did that person say that thing to me? Why did I say that to that person? It's all, from my perspective. Now, if I'm in the middle of meditation and then I'm thinking in the middle of it and I discover that I'm thinking, I go, oh, thinking. I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, I bring myself back to not thinking. Indirectly, what I'm saying to myself or demonstrating to myself is, that thought that you just had, the one that you thought was you and that you were it, well, you just made that disappear. You just made it go gone, right? So you're obviously not that thought. In fact, you are not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's very powerful. And then the fact that I do that repeatedly, that's very powerful as well. So, as I said, the main thing is every time you discover that you're thinking, bring yourself back to not thinking. If you do that, you'll be doing great. Now, the other thing, the couple of little things is, as I'm doing all that thinking, not thinking, doing, that's the kind of core of it, right? But then there's also a part of it that's bringing a bit more awareness to the sensation in my body and what's going on in my body. So what I do is I scan my body from my head down to my feet and back up again, slowly, very gently. Anywhere I find tension, I let it go. Now, when I say scan my body, I'm not imagining anything. It's not like I'm imagining some Star Trek scanner thing or anything like that. I'm just becoming a little bit more conscious of the sensation in different parts of my body. You know, starting at my head and then all the way down and then all the way back up again. And so being aware of the sensation is different to thinking. This isn't about thinking, okay? Now, when I say anywhere I find tension, I let it go, I use my out breath to let it go. And I do that for two reasons. One, it's natural to just breathe it away. It feels like every time I breathe the tension away, it always reminds me of being on the beach. I was out walking the dogs on the beach this morning, and the waves are not high. You know, the water's just coming in and going out, coming in and going out. And every time the water goes out, the sand is a bit smoother. And it's a bit like that with the out breath. Every time you breathe out your system, you can breathe out any tension that you find. The other reason I use my out breath is it's just a nice way of being a little bit more conscious of my breathing, because with all the thinking, not thinking bit going on, it can be easy to become a bit intense, a bit focused, and to hold my breath or to stop breathing altogether. I know that sounds strange, but it can happen. So using the out breath to let go of tension, it's a good way of just becoming a little bit more conscious of and then letting it go as I need. The other thing I do is, as I'm, going up and down my body with my intention, I'm spending a little bit more time, a little bit more focus on any structures in my body that go across my body. Mostly my body runs longitudinally, head to toe. Any structures that go across, they are a bit like, they operate or they have the same kind of effect as, let's say, a log going across a stream. Picks up the twigs and the branches and anything else that's coming down the stream. Except in my body, it's not twigs and branches, it's tension. So I'm spending a little bit more time in my eyes. There could be a lot of tension in the eyes. That's a transverse site. My jaw, my tongue, the base of my neck, my shoulder girdle. All my joints are transverse sites. So my shoulder, elbow, wrists, fingers, my heart area, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. Having a nice quiet room is very helpful when you're starting out in meditation, because one of the things that triggers thoughts is sound. And as soon as I close I close my eyes, or as soon as you close your eyes, my hearing amplifies. So if I have a nice quiet room, it just really helps to have less things that trigger my mind to think. And the other thing I do to help my mind get less triggered, to think, is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate. I always do that. I always set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate, so that I'm not thinking about it. I'm not wondering, because from trying to meditate, or meditate, I did it for a couple of years without setting a timer. Yeah, it's hard going. My mind is just like, it's definitely 15 minutes has passed now. Check your watch. It's like, oh. So if this is the first time you've ever meditated, I would encourage you to I'm going to set mine for 15 minutes, but I'd encourage you to set yours for 5 and repeat that 3 times, because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. I know that sounds crazy, but it can be a long time if you're not used to it. Okay, that's everything. Can't think of anything else. So let me set my timer. And off we go into the mystery. about this time. So further emergence, as I said, I'd explain a bit about it. It's to do with growth, really, inner growth, you know, growth in consciousness, growth in awareness. You could call it spiritual growth, any kind of inner growth. It's to do with that, and particularly when that growth speeds up, because your body pretty much stops growing when you become an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. That goes on for your whole life. You only have to think about who you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's really obvious that you have continued to grow on the inside. And just like when you were a kid, you might have gone through periods of accelerated growth in your body. You know, they're called growth spurts. You go through the same thing on the inside, inner growth spurts. And they go on for the rest of your life as well. The big difference, though, between inner growth spurts that go on for the rest of your life and growth spurts when you were a kid in your body is, let's say you were having growing pains and you went to your parents and said, oh, my shins are killing me, or wherever you were having the growing pains. Your parents wouldn't have rushed you to hospital. They wouldn't have brought you to the doctor. They would have just said, oh, yeah, that's terrible. They're growing pains. You're going through a growth spurt. It's natural. It'll pass. It's okay. If you are going through an inner growth spurt and you're an adult, you know, you're 25, 45, 35, 65, very hard to know that it's natural and that it'll pass and nothing's wrong. There's a much bigger feel like there's something wrong with you, this isn't natural, it's, you know, and it's never going to end. Because inner growth spurts are to do with your consciousness and to do with you growing as a person. And because it's a spurt, everything speeds up. So you can feel like almost overnight things have changed drastically. You know, this is my own experience of it, and for people, you know, telling me. So people can say, like, yeah, I don't fit in my life anymore. I feel, you know, weird. I was just standing at the checkout waiting to pay for my groceries, and suddenly it just, what am I doing? What am I doing here? What am I doing with my life? And who are all these people? And just, you know, that's just one example. I mean, it can manifest in lots of different ways. It can print out in lots of different ways. So you can have physical symptoms. Generally, physical symptoms are debilitating, but not life-threatening. They just sort of put your life on pause. You know, or as I say, not as they are, but mostly not. Or it can be this, as I say, this feeling of alienation, loneliness, of being disoriented, and lots of other things as well. So the main thing with further emergence is to support inner growth, and then specifically when that growth speeds up in these inner growth spurts, as I was just explaining. So the meditations are part of that support, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, because the more familiar you are with your inner landscape, the easier it is to navigate these inner growth spurts. Meditation is by far the most helpful thing you can do, I have found, in when this is going on. Not always, not, you know, not the answer to everything. Sometimes it's a good idea to meditate, but mostly helps. So that's what this is about, is to support people. People can either participate or just have it on the background. Just, it can be soothing just to be around to know someone else is meditating if you can't do it yourself. So there's that. Then one, that's helpful because it's very specific feedback, and because I've been through lots of growth spurts, inner growth spurts, and I've helped lots of people through it over the years as a craniosacral therapist. So it's a combination of both of those. I see people online and I work remotely with them energetically, and then the little talking as well and feedback. Just for that, you know, when the growing is really intense. There's a retreat. We do a retreat every month. Just had one on Saturday. And that's a chance to do more meditation, a deeper meditation. We do 3 longish meditations. The retreats last for half a day usually. And so there's the meditations, and then there's a chance for sharing, communication, questions, answers, and to see that you're not on your own. Just kind of, yeah, I'm not the only person going through this. These are other people going through the same kind of thing. That's very helpful. Then from that, there's a podcast, and there's the YouTube channel where there's little extracts from that, and then other little videos that I make when I'm out and about in nature. And then of books, I've written 4 books all around inheritance, growth, inner growth. So quite a bit there for support. And if you're still watching, if you're still listening, maybe some part of you is going, yeah, there's something to this. Don't know what it is, but there's something to this. So I'd let that part of you tell you what the next thing to do is, whether that's keep doing the meditation, or get in touch with some one-to-one work, or listen to the podcast, watch some YouTube videos, read a book, or none of the above. That part of you will know what the right thing to do is, and I'd just encourage you to listen to that part of you. Okay, so that's everything. Thanks very much for meditating with me, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Meditation.